Alright, so in this next video, in this very last video, I'll be going through all the type of objections or the most common objections that you're going to be receiving when you try and get the close. Now, you probably get this every single day. The first thing most people will say is, let me just take a second to think about it, or I'll get back in touch, right? Now, these objections, what we'll call them, is almost like a smokescreen. So a smokescreen is basically any objection that isn't really a real objection. The only real objection people can have is just uncertainty, which is a big one, like fear of moving forward, and the money, right? Those are really the only two real objections that you'll receive. Every other type of objection is more like a smokescreen, meaning that it's not an actual, real, tangible objection. So you want to address it, bypass it, and try to get to the real objection, okay? So this is kind of how the process would go. So I want to go away and think about it. Can I get back in touch? You then say very calmly, yeah, that's not a problem, Mr. Smith. No worries at all. Before you do that, before you go away and think about it, can I just ask, again, you just pause here. In your opinion, do you feel like what we do and everything that I've gone through, you can just add a bit more of your words to this because we want to add it, we want to make it feel like this is very natural, and it should be very natural. So in your opinion, do you feel like what we do, what we went through, do you feel like that we can actually get you a ideal XYZ goal, right? Because that's literally the most important thing. And then they'll say either yes, definitely, it definitely can, or they'll say they won't be so sure. They'll say I don't know, or no, right? Now if they say yes, okay, you then say, okay, why do you feel like it can? The reason why we say why do you feel like it can, because we want them to tell themselves why what we do will work for them. Because anything they tell themselves, they believe, and any statements you make, they're a little bit, they don't 100% believe it, right? So why do you feel like it can? And they'll give you all the reasons why they feel like you guys can help, okay? You then say, okay, cool. So when you say you want to go away and think about this, just being completely transparent, what's actually coming up for you that makes you want to go away and do that? Is there a bit of uncertainty maybe? And the reason why we say it like this, again, you have to obviously say this as natural as possible, and you want to use, intonations in certain places as well. We want to know, because we know the real thing isn't that you want to go away and think about this, what's the actual issue here, right? And we suggest, is it maybe a bit of uncertainty? Because uncertainty is normally the biggest thing, or the biggest reason people get in their way for implementing things that will actually help them. Yeah. So is it maybe possibly a bit of uncertainty, maybe a little bit, and they'll go on to say whether yes or no. But let's say they say no, or they're not sure that you guys can help them. Now, the thing is, if they flat out say no, I don't think you can help me, that means that your pitch and what you guys do, that person isn't sold on it. So the person shouldn't really say no. They shouldn't really say no, flat out, because they're not bought into your service, and they have to go back up and basically talk them through the pitch again, right? Talk them through the process again. What you'll more likely get is, possibly, I feel like it can, where they sound a little bit uncertain, right? You then want to say, okay, with what we do, what parts do you feel specifically wouldn't help you get a successful outcome, whatever that successful outcome is? Now, they'll typically say something like, no, it's not anything about what you guys do. And then they'll go on and give some kind of, again, smokescreen objection. So it's not really about what you guys do. And if it is like, I don't like the way you guys do this process or that process, again, you have to go back up and re-pitch them, okay? If they specifically mention something about your service, yeah, I've said that here, so you have to go back up and re-pitch them. You then say, okay, so it's nothing really about what we do. Now, the thing is, when you ask them, so what part specifically wouldn't work for you to help you get to your ideal outcome? And they say, no, it's not anything specifically about what you do. It's more so, and then they can just go on. So it's more so ABC, XYZ. We don't want them to drone on too long. So you want to very politely just say, okay, so it's nothing really about what we do then. Okay, right. so you do feel like what we do can work for you then, right? And they'll be like, yeah, it might not be a strong yeah, but it should be a stronger yeah than what they gave you earlier. Okay? You then say, okay, John, if I can ask, is getting to XYZ goal, is that something you're definitely committed to achieving? Because what we want to do here is, we've got them to kind of agree that what you do can work for them. The only thing left is their commitment to actually getting to their ideal outcome. Like, we want to see how committed they actually are to achieving it, right? And that's why we ask this question. Again, we only ask this question when they've not given us a solid yes, I feel like this can work for me. And then when they say, yeah, no, I'm definitely committed to achieving this successful outcome, that's definitely something that I want. You then say, okay, all right, why do you feel like you are? We want to almost be not suspicious, but we want to almost like really have a question in tone, like, okay, why do you feel like you are? Because it's almost like they're saying that they're definitely committed, but then they're having a bit of pushback. So it's almost like a contradiction. So that's why we're a little bit questioning, like, okay, so why do you feel like you are? And then they'll go on to obviously tell themselves why they feel like they're committed. You then say, okay, cool. So you feel like what we do can help you, and you're definitely committed to achieving it. So when you say you want to go away and think about this, or when you say that, you want to, whatever the smokescreen objection was, again, what is, just putting everything on the table, just being completely transparent, what is actually coming up for you that makes you want to go away and do that? Again, is there possibly, maybe, perhaps some uncertainty here? Because I know that this is the first time you're doing something like this, so I completely understand. Is there a bit of uncertainty? Okay. Now, they will either give you the real objection at that point. Now, the real objection is either uncertainty or it's money, right? It can also be their partner. But again, I don't want to make this too filled with all the different type of objections you are receiving. Now, if there's a particular one on here that isn't covered that you receive, we'll go through that on our one-to-one anyway, on our weekly calls, so don't worry. Now, if it's uncertainty, there are 4 types of uncertainty, but again, we don't need to go through every type because we don't need to be the best salesperson in the world. We just need to improve a little bit. So we're just going to go through, I think we've got 2 types here. Yeah. So we then say, okay, I see. Can I ask, what is the uncertainty about specifically? Is it about what we do? Or is it maybe about the investment? Or maybe it's uncertainty whether this is something you actually want to do. The last one we just throw in there because, again, we're just questioning their commitment. We're always questioning their commitment to their own goals that they've set. And you then say, help me understand. So again, okay, I see. Can I ask, what is the uncertainty about specifically? Is it about what we do? Or maybe it's about the investment? Or maybe is it about the investment? Or maybe it's uncertainty whether this is something you actually want to do, right? Help me understand. And then if normally it will be that it's either investment around the money, uncertainty around the money, or uncertainty about you guys, about going with you, because maybe they've had a terrible experience in the past, or they're just really cautious because they've never done something like this before. If it's an uncertainty about what you do, you then say something to the effect of, okay, I see, this is the first time you've done something like this, so I can understand why you feel like that. Obviously you say that if it is their first time. Did you get a chance to see our reviews online before you came in? So again, did you get a chance to see our reviews before our Zoom today? Again, you say this if you have obviously good positive reviews online. You then say, okay, John, or okay, name, we've helped hundreds of people in your exact situation. For many of those people, it was their first time ever doing XYZ service as well. Do you feel like some of those people maybe had the same sort of uncertainty as well before they went ahead? They'll be like, maybe. And they'll be like, yep, it's possible. You then say, exactly, yeah, they did. They did have a bit of uncertainty because they did have a bit of uncertainty, but again, this is a big but here. But because they knew that we held their hand throughout the entire process from A to Z, they were able, yeah, we need to make sure this is all grammatically correct. They were able to meet us halfway in the middle and commit. The question really is, are you able to take the first step to meet us halfway in the middle and make a commitment to yourself, yes or no? And that's how we want to ask it. I'll read it again. So exactly, there was a bit of uncertainty, right? So we want to make them feel like, look, I understand how you feel, and the people that we've worked with, we had a successful outcome for, have felt exactly the same way. But because they knew that we held their hand throughout the entire process from A to Z, they were able to also meet us halfway in the middle and commit. Because we need that commitment for anything to start. For anything to get done, we need that commitment. The question really is, are you able to take the first step and meet us halfway in the middle and make the commitment to yourself? Because at the end of the day, they have to commit to themselves, they have to commit to all the things that they've mentioned that they wanted. And then we then say yes or no because we want a binary. We say yes or no, because we don't want to be half in, half out, yes or no. Because if they say no, they're basically saying that I don't want to commit to everything that I've mentioned that I wanted. They're not saying no to you, they're saying no to themselves, right? So yes or no. And they'll always say yes. They'll never say no, they might say yes, but it's not a strong yes. Now, if it's not a strong enough yes, you then question that. Are you definitely sure you're ready to make that commitment? What you can also do, you don't really have to do this, but you can say, you can almost pull away a little bit, because you don't have to. You can stay where you are, and I know that obviously this is potentially what could happen if you did, but at the end of the day, it's still your choice, right? So are you definitely committed? And then they'll give you that stronger yes at that point, right? And then once you've got the strong yes, you then say, perfect, I'm happy to get everything started for you, name, to get this, again, whatever the specific goal is, as long as that's something that you're happy with as well. Yeah, I'm happy. And then go for the close, right? Get the commitment there and there, whether it's the signed papers or whether it's taking the payment, taking some kind of down payment, some kind of commitment, right? Now, if it's uncertainty about the money, you then say, yeah, that's no problem. Money is literally the easiest thing to figure out. And the money should always be the easiest thing to figure out, right? You then say, just to be clear, money aside, because what can happen is, when it's uncertainty about the money, people can be very quick to say, oh, we've got 10 payment plans, 100 payment plans, don't worry, we can do something now. It just shows that, maybe you're too strong on getting the money, right? So we want to be a little bit more relaxed. You then say, that's no problem. Money is literally the easiest thing for us to figure out. Just to be clear though, money aside, right? What else is maybe holding you back from moving forward? Is there anything you'd like to touch on before, or is it just the money? Because the reason why we want to say that is because when we address any kind of money uncertainty, we want to know that there's no other objection there. We want to know that they are ready to move forward. It's literally just the money that's holding them back. And when you do it this way as well, you don't seem so, because you shouldn't just be doing this because you want someone to pay money. Do you know what I mean? You should be doing this because you're trying to help someone get out of their own way. So any concerns that they have, we want to make sure that we really address it, because when they do come on board, we want them to actually have the confidence that they've made the right decision. Okay? So we don't want to be so strong on wanting them to pay or taking the money. All right? So again, just to be clear, money aside, what else is maybe holding you back from moving forward? Is there anything you'd like me to touch on, or is it just the money? And then again, if they don't give you a strong answer, you then say, are you sure? Because I'm here to help, and then hopefully they'll tell you whatever uncertainty, whatever else that they're having issues over. It literally might just be the smallest thing in the world, but again, you address that first, and then you go back to the money. You then say, all right, John, I don't want money to be an issue for you in this entire process, so would you like me to see if there's any payment options available to make this more manageable for you? Right? They're going to say, of course, yeah, definitely, if you have anything for me. What you then do is you then give obviously 2 payment options, right? So obvious one is saying we can either split it over 2 ways or we can split it over 3 ways. Which one works better for you? Okay, that's the way we do it. We either do 2 ways or 3 ways. So there's the headline, payment, but that's not affordable. So to help you out, 2 ways or 3 ways over a period of time, right? Whatever period of time that is for you. 2 ways or 3 ways. They will then hopefully pick one of the 2. Now, there are going to be some instances where either 2 ways or 3 ways does not work for them. It doesn't work for them, right? So what you should always do, you should always have a third payment plan, payment option. You should always have a third one. Now, you should really not, ever have to give this out. But if, again, you really want to help this person and you know that you can definitely help them, we don't want money to be an issue, because if you can help them, people will pay the world. If you can actually help them get to whatever their ideal outcome, people will find a way to make that payment, if you can definitely help them. So you should have a third payment option. It might involve some kind of down payment today, just as a sign of commitment, and then some kind of payment plan, whether it's a 3-way, 4-way, 5-way, you'll know. But you should always have a last payment option for people that are really struggling, but you feel like you can help. Okay, and they'll be very grateful that you can do that for them. And again, if you can get them that successful outcome, they will be more than happy to pay, even more, because again, people want their ideal outcomes. Okay, right. Now, when you go through the close, the initial close, and the first objection that you get is, "Oh, I don't have the money," right? Not like a smokescreen one. So if they say, "I just don't have the money," if that's the first objection that you get, this is the way you'd go through it. You then say, "Yeah, that's no problem. Money is the easiest thing to figure out." Then you go through this framework again. So yeah, that's no problem. Money is literally the easiest thing to figure out. But just putting the money aside again for a second, because again, we don't want to jump on the money straight away. We want to go through the framework, make sure they believe in the service, right? And as long as they believe in the service, we can then say, so we then go back down. So you go through the "do you believe in the service" framework first. You then say, "Okay, I don't want money to be an issue for you in this entire process, especially since you're committed to actually getting this done. So would you like me to see if there are any payment options available so it's more manageable for you?" And then you go through that same framework again, right? So that's the money and that's uncertainty. Again, those are the biggest objections you're going to receive. Now, you may also receive a partner objection as well. Like, "I just need to speak to my partner before we make any kind of commitment." I will most likely create another training for that. If we see that it's a common objection that a lot of different firms are getting, I will just make a training on that. But if it is specifically for you that you get that, on our check-in calls, on our weekly calls, we'll go through it together. Okay. Right. So another one that might be quite common is that they're going to be doing it themselves. Obviously, it depends on the service area if they can do it themselves, but they might think, I can do this myself, right? If they say that to you, "I'm going to be doing it myself," you just come straight to this framework. Okay, fair enough, no worries. Now, what we want to do here is we want to give them an analogy. Now, analogies are really good to kind of questioning people's thinking, because it's like obvious, because we want to make it obvious that what they're thinking is literally not the dumbest way to think, but it's literally like it's not in their best interest to think that way. But it doesn't help to just tell someone, what the way you're thinking isn't correct. They're not going to accept that, they're going to push away from that. So we want to kind of distill it into like an analogy. Now, to be fair, this isn't the best analogy in the world. We can probably come up with a few better analogies, and I will do, and I'll put them here, but it would be better for you to even come up with your own analogy, saying the same kind of thing. So the analogy I've got on here so far is, "Fair, no worries. Can I ask, if your boiler breaks down, would you try and fix it yourself, or would you call the landlord or the boiler repair person, or what would you do?" Right, so they'll kind of know what you're trying to get at when you say the analogy, or they should do anyway. Now we then go into the real question, and you then say, "So, have you done this before? Have you done this for someone before?" Again, we're like really having a questioning tone when we say this. They then say, no, I haven't." You then say, "Okay, so you've never done this before. All right. Okay. Now, how sure are you that doing it yourself will be successful?" And some of them will either say, because we're questioning their ego might play up a little bit here. They might say, 100%, "I'm sure it's going to be 100% successful," right? You then say, "Okay, You're sure that's going to be 100% successful, but how can you be so sure if you've never gone through the process before? How can you be so certain if you've never done it before? Again, you can give another analogy here. Would you be, if you've never driven before and you got into a car, would you be so confident that you could drive? Again, we're asking these questions like we're trying to get them to really think about what they're saying and what they're trying to do. We want them to see that it doesn't make sense. We want them to see that. We don't want to have to tell them that. Right? Now, the next question is, how important is getting this done the first time, getting it correct the first time? How important is that for you? And of course they'll say it's very important, right? So these questions should break down their whole thinking of, I want to go away and do this myself, especially if you really deliver it well, right? They'll definitely see that this is kind of silly for me to do it alone, right? And I'll show you how we go from there. So you then say, do you feel that if you want the best possible chance to get this right the first time and have the stress taken off your hands, it makes sense to have a professional that has done it for many other people to do this for you as well? Again, really stress on certain words. It should be obvious the words you need to stress on. All right, so putting that aside, and then they'll say yes to that. Even if it's not a strong yes, they'll say yes to that. You then say, okay, putting that aside, what's really coming up here? Is there a bit of uncertainty maybe? Because the truth is, them doing it themselves is almost like a smokescreen. There's a reason why they want to do it themselves, and it's most likely that they want to save the money. They want to save the money, so we know that it's a money objection. But again, we don't want to jump on the money straight away, because if they say they want to do it themselves, if you just say, oh, we'll give you a payment plan, it's not the right way to go about things. Yeah, we want to work through the framework and take our time with it. Okay, so we then say, all right, so putting that to the side, because we know that's not really the real reason, or that's not really like anything substantial. What's really coming up here? Is there a bit of uncertainty maybe? And then they'll be like, well, yeah, or they'll be like, no, it's just that, it's a bit expensive, X, Y, Z, A, B, C. And then when they say that, you then go back to here. Here. That's no problem. Money is the easiest thing to figure out, just to be clear. Money aside. Is anything else holding you back? We then go back to that framework. And that's literally it. So these are all the main objections you'll be receiving. Again, if there's any other type of objections you want me to actually make the training on, just let me know. Other than that though, thank you very much. All right.